Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into Motorsport Factory once again. And for those of you tuning in for the first time, welcome to my channel. Today we have a 99 Chevy Malibu per request from some customers who want to know how to change a thermostat on these cars. So this particular model is a 99 with a V6 engine in it. And this application, what I'm about to do will work pretty much the same for the all the way up to 2002, because I worked on a 2001 and a 2002. So there's going to be some slight differences from the 2002 model versus the 99. This here is a 99. So I'm going to give you guys my take on how to go about getting the thermostat, which is right, it's going to be behind here. So it's down in here, okay? So one of the first things we're going to do is I'm going to disconnect the battery, because I have to actually replace this battery anyway. And we're going to take off this intake piping. And so first thing you want to do is take this piping, just kind of dislodge it out of the pipe, out of the main hose. This connector here is going to come off. And then you have this connector, which is mounted right to here. You're going to take that off, and then you're going to unscrew right here, right? You screw this, and you're going to unscrew from here, and then you're going to just move this out of the way. Then when you move it out of the way, you'll definitely have a little bit more room to work with. And as you can see, you'll have more access to the thermostat. I'm just looking around. These two hoses here, they look corroded and they look like they could be used some replacing. I'm going to be replacing those heater hoses in the back as well. But in this video, I'm just showing you how to get to this thermostat as easily as possible. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to remove this entire bottom part of the intake mechanism, the part. And for this part, it doesn't look like it's attached anywhere else other than right here. And just one of the things is you have to remember, like, a 99 could be different from the 2002. There could be slight design changes. So you just want to always gauge and pay attention to what else could it look like. So this video is really just to give you a general idea as far as what you could be taking off, because on some cars, some years, some models, with not just the 3100 engine, but then you have the 3400. Like I said, you're not going to have this piping, so it's one less thing you'd have to take off. And we'll get to that in a second. And I'm going to show you what else tools to use. And in this case, this car was kind of overheating, so I believe it has barely any coolant in it. And in this video, all I'm going to be doing is just showing how to take the thermostat out and what to access from it. Some of the bolts are easy accessible. Like, I don't know if you can see it, but my finger is pointing at it. You'll see it right underneath the throttle body. Looks like a 12 millimeter bolt. It's either a 12 or 13. Sometimes they do some funky stuff. If you feel this piping is in the way, then we can always move this piping out of the way. I gotta double check on this one, because this piping leads all the way to all the way over there. So I'm gonna try to do this without moving too much stuff. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is then I'm gonna just move this piping out of the way. I mean, this filter bed, I want to call it. I'm gonna move it out of the way so we can access the other bolts for the bottom piece. And once we get to that, I'll I'm gonna show you how to do that. So what we're gonna do is I think this could be either a 10. I gotta double check again, I forget. But when you're using like these line fittings and stuff like that, use a line wrench. Okay, they're flared, because you don't want to strip this thing, and the last thing you need is it being stripped. So let me double check what size it is, and then I'll be right back. Alright guys, so just verified that this fitting is a 13. So what I'm using is a crow's foot 13 millimeter. So having a flared one will work just as well as those the line wrenches that are, you know, those flared wrenches. So I just put an extension on here so I could use my long handle ratchet and get enough leverage. But before I'm gonna even crack this open, I'm gonna put some penetrant on here, which I forgot to do. And also the bolt, the very top bolt for the thermostat housing is also 13 millimeter on the top, and the bottom one that we're going to try to access is also a 13 millimeter. So I'm gonna, again, forgot to I'm gonna take this off, and then that way we'll have more clearance to work with. So once I do that, and we'll move on to the next step. Alright guys, so I don't know if you guys can see, get the light on here a little bit. There's another 10 millimeter nut down there. I didn't see it with the battery and this piece of the piping in the way. So once you get this to, it looks like that's all there is. Hopefully, I'm gonna look around some more, making sure there's nothing around. So once you got that out, then you should be able to take this off easy. Alright guys, so the strategy I want to just kind of quickly show you for the bottom bolt is you want to get in here as best as you can. Just put my wrench in it. As you can probably see, hopefully my camera can zoom in. If not, then we're kind of just having to work with hate it when you don't have enough space to work with. Anyways, as you can see where the wrench is sitting into, you're gonna crack it as much as you can. If you can't, you can slide a 1/2 inch drive on here and just kind of get some more leverage. And then once you you know, if you're able to spin it a few times and you can't spin it from no more, then you want to bring your wrench in from the bottom. It really does suck that, you know, the design is this way. As you can see now, how I was able to get my wrench in there. I'm hoping you guys are able to see very clearly. And then just push it down as much as you can, and then, you know, move it around back and forth so much. I'm not going to really just leave the recording on to show me doing this, because it is going to be kind of a time-consuming process. But I'm just showing you that bolt is just right down here. While you're at it, probably you can change these two hoses while you're at it, and probably just take them off. That way you'll have even more clearance to work with. And right now it seems like whoever owned it last probably put some RTV or something on there. But I'm gonna give the customer a call, and I'm gonna just talk to them and see if they want to replace those hoses or whatnot, and hopefully things go well from that. Other than that, I'll go into the next thing. One of the things I was going to tell you, when I said use a 13 millimeter on this, on mine it seems very stubborn to take off. And so in my case, I'm not going to take it off now, because one of the things you have to be careful with is piping bending, right? So one of the things you can do is you can use a radiator hose pinch off tool, or drain it. And I'll try to see, I forget where the drain is. I'd have to lift up the car and see. What else we could do here? You can unlatch it from this hose, and take it out from this hose, because you have, for this piping, you know, this is connected to here, so you're gonna be good to go with that whole thing. Other than that, you know, so just a quick note that just be careful when you take this off. But in my case, mine's starting to bend. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just disconnect this hose, and hopefully, and then I'm going to get that 13 millimeter bolt that's right down here. Let's see if we can get you in there. I like this. I just bought me a magnetic tripod right there. That's the one. Okay. So that's the other one for the thermostat housing. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use. Hold on, let me get it on here. I'm gonna just use, just a small extension, U-joint, and a 13, and I should be able to get it in. There we go. And then once you got that in, then I'm starting with the that bottom bolt for it because that's going to be the most time-consuming one. So once I get that off, then I'm going to get this one off. And what you might want to do is what I'm going to do here is put a piece of rag or something, or if you can get a good thin size like magnetic tray or something, or if you have a magnet to just stick into here like one of those long reach magnets, so as you're taking it off it doesn't fall down, it catches on the magnet. You could do that. So let me get these off and then I'll be right back. Alright guys, so a quick update. So what I did was after I got those two bolts off, hopefully the explanation of getting the bolts off is fairly easy. In my case, like I said before, I was trying to take it off, and if you can kind of see, it started to bend, and I kind of had to bend it back in place. It's one of those things that it was very stubborn to come off. It shouldn't be that way. I mean, I put on all kinds of loop penetrant. So what did I end up doing was I took off, where'd that little bolt go? I took out this little 10mm bolt that was right here that was holding this, pretty much this bracket down to kind of get some room. And then I took the PCV valve off because if I didn't, it would have been just hitting up. So now I got some room to work with, and I kind of disconnected from here. So I'm gonna just eventually clean this up and get it out of the way. And so now you should have more room to see the thermostat. Move these tools out of the way. I mean, I'm liking this magnetic tripod, but it's one thing is like it starts catching on to the things. So now you should have. Let me try to set you down here. So get you. Yes, I can do some hands-free work now. Maybe if I can just grab it with my hand, if I can. Maybe not. But anyways, so as you can see, there's a thermostat there. And where is my flathead? There we go. I'll just grab a flathead and just pry it out if I could. It's really stuck in there. I'm probably going to spray some penetrant on here. And there, I was not showing you where the camera was. Well, it's right here, so as you can see, just try to grab it with needle nose or whatever you can, because I'm going to need both hands to work with this. So I'm going to get it off and then clean up the area, and then I'll be right back. Okay, guys? Alright, so I finally got it off. Good Lord. So it was a little stubborn, as you can see how this old one was all crusty. Yeah, look at that gasket was gone. This thing was on the verge of blowing out. Whenever you're buying, new parts, always compare it with the old one. Everything looks fairly the same size, except, it's got like a 3-prong kind of housing, I guess you want to call it, versus a 2. Make sure it fits. So I just got me one of these. Actually, the customer got the Duralast one. As long as it's OE spec, it's the right size. I mean, I don't think this 3-prong, I don't think it's going to matter. I've never really seen it. It's just housing the valve mechanism and whatnot. So what you're going to do is you're going to just obviously slide that back in and just follow the reverse steps. So what I did, obviously I moved this out of the way so I can pop this in. And hopefully this fits. If it doesn't, then we can always return it, It looks like it's seating properly. looks pretty flush to me. Alright, so then we're gonna take this housing, and sometimes it's always good to have a friend, you know. Well, what I'm gonna do, well, is, you know, it's hard to record with one hand, but what I'm gonna do is, obviously you wanna to kind of fight with this thing. Really, dude, really. So there we go. And then make sure it's in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start recording here for a second. I want to make sure the housing and everything lines up right. Okay, I'll be right back in a minute. Alright guys, so I got the thermostat finally back on nice and snug. Make sure the bolts for that bottom one and then the top one, make sure you just snug them. You don't want to tighten it down all the way. You want to just snug it a little bit and then come to the top, kind of alternate in between. Obviously the bottom one's going to be a little bit more work. So, yeah, and all these birds are making noise. Okay, so let's do a little quick recap. When you take it out, obviously when you take the intake stuff off, then if you get a good decent size long handle 13 millimeter, you should be having a space, because if I was able to do it, you guys should be able to do it. So you're gonna do a few turns, and if you can't grab the nut, the bolt from here, then you going from the bottom, and then do that, and then make sure that the bolt is the 13 for this. Make sure you use a U-joint, or or even a 1/4 inch if you can. If you can get your wrench in there, then that's great. And then make sure when you do take this off, if you're going to go this route, which will probably in some sense easier, but make sure that this piping doesn't start bending on you, because that's the one thing I had to keep note of. To be on the safe side, just disconnect from here, unlatch it from this clip, take this 10 millimeter bolt off, and then you take this hose off, and then you can move this out of the way. You're going to be kind of fighting with it a little bit because this piping's in the way. So when you move this, and then also don't forget to take the PCV off, so you have a little bit more wiggle room to play with, okay? So, and then kind of follow the reverse steps to do this. This also applies, like I said before, to the 3.4 liter engines. You might, depending on the year you're working on, you may have a little bit more space from between the exhaust manifold and the thermostat, and that you should be good to go. So, and then when you get this back on, and then put your intake back on, and you should be good to go. I'm not going to put the actual intake back on. It's fairly simple. I'm not going to really show it in the video, because I got a few other things I need to do to this car, because I got to change those heater hoses in the back. But hopefully this video tutorial for this thermostat it was helpful to you guys. If there's any questions, always leave it in the comment section below. Please like the video. I know some of you guys may not want to like it, but there's not a whole lot of a choice. If you really want more space, taking the exhaust manifold would be the only ideal situation if you really want that more space to work with. But then we're talking it's more time consuming, right? Anyways, please subscribe to my channel, join me on my Facebook. I also have Twitter now, and so like this video, share the video. If you have any other requests for repair tutorials, let me know, and I'd appreciate it. So thanks for tuning into Motorsport Factory, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.